Hey, you're welcome to this week's edition of the Magnates. You know by now that this program parades industrialists, corporate players, professionals from diverse fields. Today we are going to be looking at how you encourage the poor in your community. We have somebody who has molded the poor, who has lifted the poor from their situation to a level that they can never imagine. It will be a great pleasure to commence an interactive conversation with this amazing man. First, let's give you his profile. By the time you watch the citation, you will agree with me. We have picked the right choice for this program. We'll be back shortly.
Dr. Kadrin Ehigi Emezi is an accomplished social entrepreneur and the pathfinder in the microfinance sector. He has applied the concept of social enterprise to successfully build a number of enterprises which addresses the need of persons and businesses at the bottom end of the society. His business interests span microfinance, microinsurance, microleasing, healthcare, and education. He began his involvement in microfinance as a rural cooperative officer before he founded LAPO, Lift Above Poverty Organization, a successful pro-poor development organization with operations in Nigeria and Sierra Leone. The organization has evolved into a vast collection of mutually reinforcing institutions and businesses with over 2 million clients and 6,210 in Nigeria and Sierra Leone with over 10,000 full-time staff. Dr. Ehigi Emezi has been central to the development of microfinance in Africa and actively participated in the formulation of the Nigerian microfinance policy, regulatory and supervisory guidelines. He has been a notable facilitator at local and international seminars and conferences on financial inclusion. Dr. Ehigi Emezi earned first and second degrees in sociology and sociology of development, respectively, at the University of Benin. He holds a doctorate degree in policy and development studies with distinction in dissertation on policy instruments and financial inclusion. In 2006, he led LAPO to win the prestigious Grameen Foundation's Award for Excellence in Microfinance. In 2008, he won the Nigeria's Model Entrepreneur Award of the Faith Foundation, and in 2010, Dr. Ehigi Emezi won the Professor Schwab Foundation's Outstanding Social Entrepreneur Africa 2010 Award. In 2014, Dr. Ehigi Emezi won the Lagos Business School's Distinguished Alumni Award with Mr. Peter Obi, a former governor of Anambra State. In 2016, the University of Benin awarded him the Doctor of Science (DSc) honoris causa for his outstanding contributions to human development. He authored Understanding NGOs (1998), Poverty and Microfinance in Nigeria 2000, and Issues in Microfinance, Enhancing Financial Inclusion 2011, and recently, Touching Lives, My LAPO Journey, a memoir. He is currently chair of the board, Goxi Microinsurance Company Limited, the first licensed microinsurance in Nigeria. He is married to Mrs. Ngozi Ehigi Emezi and blessed with 5 children. Dr. Ehigi Emezi strongly believes that meaningful development is only possible if the people at the bottom end of the society have full economic citizenship.
Hello, this is the Magnate. Today we shall be focusing on poverty alleviation. And we have somebody who has done that creditably well in Nigeria and beyond. You want to know who this is? Come with us. Let's go over for an interactive conversation. And it's a great pleasure to be in the midst of an amazing man, somebody who is changing the narratives of a lot of people, the downtrodden in the society. Join me in welcoming Dr. Kadrin Ehigi Emezi. Thank you very much for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Wow, in fact, your citation really jolted me. Now, we'll talk of, he's the founder of Lift Above Poverty Organization. Well, a lot of conglomerates that has come out from that. One of them is the LAPO Microfinance, Goxi Insurance, and so many others. He'll be sharing all his thoughts with us. But first, Share your early childhood with us that you think, because it is when you have gone through something you feel that there's a need for people to be impacted. I don't want to believe that you went through poverty that you feel that you should make a difference in the lives of the downtrodden.
There's this tendency to think that what has shaped my perspective and indeed career is the fact that I might have experienced poverty. I strongly believe that there's beyond the fact that this general low standard of living of people in my community, but my household was actually considered as very privileged. I would explain. My father in my community, who are in Uhonde local government, built the first story building in 1958.
Wow.
And that was only when maybe the number of such story buildings in Benin could be less than 15. So he was a great farmer and was doing a few other things. So what actually, for me, shaped my thinking, my life, and that's informed my commitment, a lifelong commitment to working in the space of poverty alleviation, is the fact that very early I was introduced into the public affair, in the sense by in primary 5, my teacher then.
Primary 5?
Yes,
were you really sensible then?
No, yes, my primary 5, my teacher then, Mr. B. Bernard Osage, insisted that we contribute pens, and then every pens to buy a copy of Nigeria Ozawa on Wednesday. And that was the edition that will have children's column, edited by Rose Irabo. And so by that, I started having interest in reading newspaper, and by extension, about other people. By the time I got to the high school and indeed college, I was already subscribing. Right. So I was exposed to a lot of prominent Nigerians, especially those who were, addressing the issue of liberalization of access to education, for instance, tertiary, and others who were. So for me, I got to really know very early that the best thing, for any nation when it comes to development, in this case, meaningful development, is to consider the standard of living of the mass of the people at the bottom end of that society.
Okay, I also got this information that Lapo was just like a pressure group when you were in school. This must have also emanated from that your childhood, orientation. Is that correct?
Yeah, before I got to university, I spent 1 year in Ibadan for a sort of a training program, and I was exposed to the writings of Tai Sholari. And many people know him.
Of course.
He was committed to, he was an activist. And by the time I got to Uniben, I had the opportunity to belong to an association of students that were committed to enhancing or advocating for better life for the mass of the people at the bottom. And so I got a clear perspective, if you like, ideological perspective of what development should be. And that development should be reaching the largest number, usually, in any society at the bottom, with services and intervention that will enhance the standard of living of members of their household. So I had the good luck of doing a vacation job in 1980 in the cooperative office in Benin. It was quite exciting. That for me, it became clearer that cooperatives, societies, are actually a very effective institutional instrument to alleviate poverty. Because the development, the definition of a cooperative society is simple. It is an association of persons with limited means. Please underline the limited means.
Limited means.
Who pull their resources together, and from that pool, needy members of the society can draw from to improve their condition. So by the time I graduated and I sought an employment, I decided to be a cooperative officer with the Bender state government.
So that's where all of it started from?
Yes, to a very large extent. I think what therefore could be a factor that shaping the establishment of LAPO are one, the clarity I had about what development should be. Number two was the fact that I had interface, work extensively in the cooperative movement. Three, the fact that in the 1980s, that is where indeed the economic crisis actually began. Before 1980, not many Nigerians can spell poverty because there was none. And so in 1986, if you remember, the federal government then adopted the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP. And the central component of that program were one, devaluation of the Naira, removal of subsidies, rationalization of staff in the public sector, including embargo on employment. So the cumulative effect of all this led to a spike in the level of poverty, both in severity and in spread. That was the setting where I decided to intervene in a no-state manner, coming up with Lift Above Poverty Organization. You will agree with me that essentially it's a name, but it's also a mission statement.
Okay, yes, a very apt mission statement.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about poverty, the downtrodden, those are the lowest cadre of the community, in the society. Now, we used to hear of community banks.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, microfinance bank came up. What's the difference? Is there any difference between the two?
Well, I think let us go back a little before the community banks. We had the People's Bank. And at that time, and I should know, that was the most capitalized pro-poor financial institution globally.
Capitalized, you said?
Yeah, globally.
Okay.
So, and we know that there were issues there. And then you have the community banking, where you have community banks that were essentially banking institutions, but were not supervised by the central bank. Rather, the supervision was domiciled in the presidency. And that makes it essentially not a killer financial institution. Not too elitist. I think there were obvious issues when it comes to issue of capitalization, issue of management, issue of course, the delinquency, which is very prevalent in our community. And so that was the setting. It's it's interesting that was the point that I decided to take a very simple action. What was it? 3 women in my church. Give them 100 naira each.
100 naira?
Yes. And every Afro day in Ogwashuku, that is every 4th day, I will go around in the evening to collect 10 naira repayment. And so what was quite interesting for me, and I will tell you, was that even with all my experience in training, activity, in credit trips, in cooperatives, I was amazed that after about 5 Afro days collecting 10 naira, I also had another, from 3 of them, I have another 100 naira that I gave to somebody else. And it was like that.
It was growing.
Yeah, it was growing. Then until the fact that one, I needed to get some more money to add. Secondly, I got in touch with the Grammy Bank of Bangladesh, which I can also talk about. But another very interesting episode I will give to you was that one Afro day in the evening, about 7 o'clock, I went to a lady on Obuluno Road in Ogwashuku. And I knocked, and she came out. I said, no, I didn't borrow anything from you.
Wow.
I said, no, lift. No. So I was so dazed, because 4 days ago I was here and this lady paid. So I decided to just move along to go and meet the other person. And she ran after me. And she caught up with me and I said, please, sorry. I didn't want to know that. I didn't want my husband to know that I borrowed. He was watching television. So that obviously influenced the fact that we needed to try the group methodology.
Interesting. You see, this Lift Above Poverty organization has really met a need. You must have done a thorough need assessment to know those category of people that will really, be able to benefit and need this.
Sure. I will tell you, LAPO was not by accident. LAPO for me was it came out of my own clarity about what development should be. I continue to say this. The first thing was that I needed to conceptualize what poverty is in the first place. For me, poverty is an octopus with the tentacle of material deprivation, tentacle of poor health, and tentacle of social exclusion. A poor person has very low self-esteem. And so the program of LAPO was therefore structured to address material deprivation with credit. We call it microcredit then, not microfinance. And poor health was to be addressed with health awareness. Many people may not know, across communities in Nigeria, LAPO was at the forefront of the fight against HIV/AIDS. We organized rural women who were infested into what we call support group.
Wow.
And then we provide them with loan and also, more importantly, with information and even things about nutrition. And so we did that. And that's actually informed the eventual fact that we have to capitalize a big hospital in Benin. And the third one is social empowerment to address the social issue. At the beginning, we had a very creative training we deliver for 3 days in communities. To address, yes, for sure. To address the issue of gender inequity and also to address the whole issue of customs and traditions that tend to deprive women, their potential to be able to enhance their. So it was quite an interesting thing. So LAPO, therefore, is not just about financial institutions as people will know. It was also about poor health and all that. I went beyond that. I think this is also instructive.
A lot of instructive things coming from you.
Instructive in the sense that I decided to come up with what I call operating assumptions that we define what we do in LAPO very early, and those things we define. What are they? Very simple. Number one, poor people are so disadvantaged to benefit from services provided by highly formalized institutions. So we adopt informality. We adopt, and so poor people, if you add financing to their basic skills and labor, then much can happen.
Productivity is enhanced.
And then we also, another one out of the 6 was the fact that women and children are more victims of poverty relatively than men. I think that is obvious. They were not original, but they were quite obvious, and they influence what we do.
You have just even taken it from me, because from all your submissions so far, women. I mean, you could see that you have passion, and you even hit the nail on the head. Women and children are more vulnerable.
Sure.
Now, the next question I will be asking when we come back from this break is, you talked about, we have looked at it from the end, you talked about community bank, from People's Bank, community bank, microfinance bank. Why do you think anybody, particularly the poor, will be more comfortable sourcing for credit from all these lower banks than the commercial bank where they can still go? This is the Magnate. We are chatting, stimulating conversation with the founder of LAPO, which has given birth to a lot of other organizations. He is Dr. Kadrin Soy. We'll be back shortly. This is the Magnate. We are having a conversation here. It's stimulating one. I'm being educated. In fact, I'm in a school. We call it business school because I'm being enlightened. And I'm sure you're also being mentored, because we call it mentoring on television and lending a voice. We are still with Dr. Kadrin Ehigi, the founder of Lift Above Poverty organization. Thank you again for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for honoring us, even though we took quite a long time to get this. Now, the question is pending. Why would anybody Not even just the poor, those who want to go into business, want to do anything, be more comfortable coming to a microfinance to lend some money than going to the commercial banks.
Actually, it's not by choice. It's the fact of access to finance. Before even the microfinance banks and of course community bank and people's bank, poor people ordinarily never had access to institutional credit.
Collaterals and the likes.
For the complicated and requirements of the financial institution, the mainstream financial system actually exclude the poor people. And so they were given a sort of a blanket name, that is, they were not bankable. And so
they became differentialized.
Yeah. So when you now say, why do they therefore come? They come to microfinance bank because essentially microfinance bank are supposed to remove those barriers that the mainstream financial institution place against ordinary people. What are they? The requirement for collateral. In the classical microfinance and the way LAPO does it is the fact that we do not demand for collateral. Asking for collateral for those people is akin to asking someone to provide what in the first place he does not possess. and so that's actually,
the barrier is already there.
Yes. So the whole issue of People's Bank, Community Bank, now Microfinance Bank, and there you had the fintech, is essentially to expand access to the poor. In other words, to enhance financial inclusion.
Okay.
And so that is the reason. It's not by choice.
All right. Very interesting. And before now, you can imagine you started by giving people 100 naira. You have traversed, you have grown to the extent that LAPO is now a household name. I'm not sure there's any state in the country where you are not present.
Yeah, even outside the country.
Wow. What has worked for you? Because why I'm asking that question, the mortality rates of microfinance bank is very high.
Yeah. I agree with you. What has worked for us? Let me also tell you that we have not always been great like this. We also have our challenges. And then,
your dues.
But eventually, what are those things? If I need to reflect, is the fact that I will put it in a one sentence, and then probably I will explain. When you do a microfinance, which is essentially a human development enterprise, and to be successful and sustainable for over a long time, you must adopt the delicate combination of managing with head and heart.
Wow.
And that means that, first of all, you must realize that these are people, they have their needs, they have their sensibilities, and you need to, address those things. And some of those needs are beyond financial needs. How to deal with their children's school fees, health issues, injustice, and all that. You need to also address
You're not thinking like a capitalist.
Yes. At the same time, you must also run the business in a very professional manner using your head. You must ensure that you have the right governance structure and processes in place. You must ensure that you do so much of financial planning and projections. You need to also ensure that you strengthen your risk management structures and processes. And so these are the combination that has helped us. We've been able to, for instance, we do what we call credit plus. That is to say, we provide credit, but we also ensure that we provide scholarship to children of our clients. We provide health, and we know that many of them are victims of injustices, especially the inheritance, the inheritance. And so we provide what legal aid, services to these people. And so when you do all that, and therefore you provide them with credit.
All-inclusive.
So early clients of LAPO, I think many of them still think, they do not see LAPO as just a lending institution.
Okay.
They actually see LAPO as our institution. It is for that reason, if I enter into a market today, I'm going to see one or two women that will say LAPO, and I will respond progress.
We We're still on the Magnate. The conversation is getting quite stimulating and interactive. Let's put a halt on the conversation for now. We'll bring you the concluding part. Same time next week. The program is still the Magnate. Join us there.